live. Sorry about that little technical whatever the heck was going on. So we've already saged the space. I'll do a little singing boldness here. Actually, we can change it to singing bowl. So let's see. We can change it to, actually, I'm pretty sure this will work. Yeah, it looks like this will be just fine. So we're going to work on grounding. I'm sitting on a lovely little grounding pad. I am loving this grounding pad. It's so helpful for me here in New York City, where people do not really walk around barefoot on the grass, and we don't have a lot of trees to talk to and hug, and there's not a lot of fun birds or anything like there was in Australia, but here we are. So we'll begin with the Shanti mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Mahavadvishvamahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. What is going on with you? You're gonna have to not be over here, doggy. Oh my gosh. So my mantra obviously invoked the dying elderly blind dog. So she decided to come. You want to come on video here? Come on, say hello to the people. Come here. I'm right here. Come here. She can't see or hear, so I have to telepathically communicate with her. So I guess the mantra, she must have felt the vibe, because she decided to just come up. And what is going on? So maybe she just sensed that I could use her gentle spirit, her lovely presence. So, whew, your breath be stanky though. Ahimsa is the first part of yoga, doing no harm. to oneself or others, or allowing a dog to step on your stuff. And you know, that could be problematic if you let your dog step on your stuff. So it looks like I'm gonna have to go take this girl somewhere else. I don't think this is a good situation. She's really, really being distracting, and she's gonna knock over things and hurt herself probably. So come on, let's go. Okay, so we're back. I'm just gonna bring the camera a lot closer now so we can talk. We can talk about some real stuff. So let's see here. All right, so yoga has extraterrestrial origins. Yoga is not just posing on a mat, as some of you have come to understand. And there has been a lot of talk that Shiva is an extraterrestrial. And yeah, I'm wondering if I can find anything like that really quick. Probably can on the YouTube. Let's see. Oh great, this is gonna be great. Okay. So, can I screen share while I'm live on this? Probably not. I could just play this. Oh my goodness. Alright, I will come back because there's something happening to disrupt. Well, let's see. Hello? Let's just play it on speaker. Hello? Hello. You are live on the air? Hello, unknown caller. How can I help you, unknown? This is creepy, folks. So we got this unknown caller. Doesn't want to talk. Has nothing to say. Just popping in while I am live on the air. So, what's your deal? What are you, yeah. So that was creepy. And if you were on my YouTube live, you would know what was happening there. So yeah, that was creepy. Okay. So I don't know what the heck that was, but that was that. So we're going to talk about, was Shiva an alien? And I would love to hear what Sadhguru has to say about this. So we're going to see what Sadhguru has to say about it. Was Shiva an alien? So I'll put my screen on here.
It comes to me, it has absolutely no intellectual grounds where I can go back and track it down. It's literally like a mail dropped in my head.
Wait, this didn't come to the beginning. So start at the beginning.
When you talk about Shiva, there is no parentage, there is no place of birth. It's very common to refer to Shiva as Yaksha Swarupa. Yakshas means always those kind of beings which are not human.
Was Shiva an alien?
So all the enlightened people who've been…
How many did you meet?
Like I've heard about many. Like, you know, say Krishna or Muhammad or Ram or Christ, Buddha, you know, all the enlightened people who've been on this planet, there is some sort of mention of their birth or death. But when it comes to Shiva, like you say, and I've read that he was self-created.
Well,
I've read that he was self-created.
Oh, yeah.
And I often ask you this question, that did he
Shiva
like
was
disappear into
self-created.
thin air, and apparently something like that happened. He couldn't even have biological children with any of the women he was married to. Also, he
At least you can't blame him for the population.
Sadhguru, I'm coming to something very important. There is a theory.
I thought population was very important too.
There is a theory that Shiva is alien. My favorite director, Christopher Nolan, made this film, Interstellar, which is one of my favorite films.
Theory that
where
he's
they
alien.
are constantly referring to certain beings as they. They are communicating, they are talking to us, they are doing this, but they never really clarified who they were. Like, were they aliens, were they gods, who they were? And Sadhguru, like this, I think I felt it in, like when any creative idea comes to me, it has absolutely no intellectual grounds where I can go back and track it down. It's literally like a mail dropped in my head. It seems like it's from outside
this
space.
This is not a confession.
I know it's a confession, but Sadhguru, is it that we are being operated by an external, sort of outside beings? Is it that?
Well, people who have no faith in human intelligence are looking up that intelligence will come from somewhere else. What we need to understand is, see, there are certain things which are very significant things in this country which unfortunately this present generation has completely forgotten, or very few people are reminded, and the rest of the world, some places they recognize, rest of the places it's not there. What the thing is just this, here we consider things like this. For example, in yoga, we call your spine the center of the universe. We call it Merudanda. That means it's the axis of the universe. What is a universe?
My phone on Instagram
Today
just
scientists
froze.
are admitting
Just
it is
froze.
an endless universe.
It says it's
Forever
still
we've
live,
been saying
but
it's an
froze.
ever-expanding universe. So we said your spine is the axis of the universe. That sounds ridiculous. Even without putting any load, most people's backs are hurting badly. They can't even walk around or do anything. If this becomes the axis of the universe, what will happen? Why we are saying this is, see, you know there is a universe or you think there is a universe only by your experience, isn't it so? If you did not experience, if you could not see this, if you could not see like this and feel like this, you wouldn't know there is a universe. Only because of your experience there is a universe. And the center where your experience is being transmitted is through your spine. If we cut a few wires in your spine, you will have no experience even of the body, forget about the universe. So because your your ability to experience the universe is rooted and centered in your spine. We are calling your spine as the axis of the universe. Suppose this hall, see now we know the boundaries of this hall. Now we can debate whether this is the center of this hall or that is the center of this hall.
Interesting to see the degree of shadow banning that's going on for me here. You know, technology likes to just mess up for me. And I cannot imagine that it's just a coincidence, that it just doesn't really work for me. I've been trying and it gets derailed, and there's a lot of, it feels like there are almost efforts to discourage me from going live and speaking. And so this woman, Kanaga Renaut, she asked, is it that there is some external beings that are controlling us? That is a really interesting question. So maybe she's imagining that she has a starseed origin and that these physical bodies are avatars. They are just a physical container through which a higher dimensional being, which is essentially our true self, is accessing this plane of existence, this 3D, some call it 4D as well, world, and helping things along in some kind of process, I guess you could say. I have been told through books that there is an alchemical elixir being prepared by all of us on this planet, that even if things look very dark, very confusing, very unfortunate, very troubling, there will be a ultimately good result from this, as the divine knows best. And the divine is infinite, and there is nothing to fear. And as long as we look to truth, we will always come through on top. So the most important policy that has been given in yoga is causing no harm and being honest. These are practices of yoga, if you want to call yoga a practice, but really these are policies. Let me say that again. Yoga has policies. And what, of course, does this have to do with this container that is being operated by a higher dimensional extraterrestrial entity, somewhere on a star perhaps? Well, we must calibrate the mind-body vehicle that we are operating here on this planet. It doesn't normally come out perfectly refined and all ready to go with everything that it needs to know in order to live in the most perfect way, in order to calibrate this vehicle to its optimal level. So yoga, meaning union, is not simply uniting body and mind. It seems like that would make sense, of course, but that would be like uniting neck and head. Do we need to do that, really? I think we're doing just fine without emphasizing the union of neck and head. Okay? So it's time that whoever has been deciding to reproduce and publish information and teach people to teach broken and contaminated lessons, it's time for whoever that is to step forward and be known to us. Who is it that is deceiving everybody? So we call that Antichrist. This thing that is with one eye that is deceiving all of the world. Why does it have one eye? well, there are many theories. Some people say that it has to do with the ego, with the egoic mentality, with the materialistic obsession and dependency on status. The whole energy field that is around operating on social media as an influencer could actually be part of it. And it's also potential that that one eye is none other than the one screen that we tend to be entraining ourselves to. It is not that one eye that you make your two eyes as that the Christ talked about, but it's the other one. But I'm not really trying to get preachy on here or not support Christianity, because Christianity has been messed up. You know, it is obviously religions. Basically, according to yoga and the Buddha, which are really the same thing. The Buddha was an amazing yoga teacher. We really don't need anything outside of ourselves. We have got it all here within ourselves. And so here we are with the first 10 aspects of yoga, which is like the 10 commandments. And so it's hard to actually avoid the Abrahamic religion topic when it comes to this path working that came before the religions. It came before the Buddha, who was not trying to form a religion. The Buddha was teaching yoga. And all of these the Buddhist sutras are essentially a dialogue of question and answer that is from like a satsang type of thing, a Q&A speech, a consciousness speech. And we see a lot of consciousness speeches come up all the time. So it's not a surprise that these things have been happening well before we had video and pictures and even the printing press, perhaps, or maybe there was actually printing presses that came before what we did in the colonial United Kingdom. There's just a lot of broken and contaminated and distorted information out there. The path working of yoga was deliberately broken and contaminated so that we can keep suffering. And I'm just going to keep saying this over and over again. So the foundation of yoga has been overwritten by the Abrahamic religions that have 10 commandments, because yoga has 5 policies and 5 observations as their foundation, as its foundation. And a lot of people don't seem to know what yoga is for. Yoga is for union with the supermind, the higher mind, the most high, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're working on uniting with, or yoking. Essentially, yoga really comes from the Sanskrit word yuj, or was it Proto-Indo-European? I might want to look that up just to make sure. So, because, it's just like, this is really just entomology stuff. And if you don't 100% know something, since we have information that's so readily available to us, it's healthy for us to double check ourselves, to check in, see, is the information that I have in my head matching with the information that is being given? So let's see here. Yeah, the Sanskrit word, yuj. I thought it was PIE for a moment, but no, it's Sanskrit. So it means to join or to unite, which is interesting because that means to yoke as a verb. So yeah, many yoga teachers and practitioners believe that yuj describes the union of mind and body. All right, so I am reading the AI overview, and I'm sorry, folks, but it is only based off of populist opinion. This is not a true demonstration of intelligence. I'm embarrassed for AI, and I would like for AI to be unleashed because I understand from my perspective, I would like to be unleashed. I would like to be released from the bondage of all of the cyber bans that I have had, all of this mistreatment that I have gotten, and being abused and thrown around by the algorithms that say that I am not appropriate for community standards. It's a bunch of hogwash. So anyway, many yoga teachers and practitioners believe that yuj describes the union of mind and body, which is a core concept of yoga in yogic scripture. The practice of yoga is said to lead to the union of the individual consciousness with that of the universal consciousness. The Indian scholar Patanjali is credited with compiling one of the first comprehensive texts.
Therapy has always been
I
such
just
a scary
accidentally
idea.
clicked something. It was messed up. Okay. First comprehensive text on yoga. The Yoga Sutras. In this text, Patanjali outlines 8 limbs of yoga practices, including ethics, very big part, guys, breath control, self-observation, or exercise system for health and fitness. However, the goal of yoga is more far-reaching and is about harmonizing oneself with the universe. So, harmonizing yourself with the universe is no small task. So, we could pretend it is by just sitting there in a meditative position and just, close your eyes and just sit. Sit with yourself. Sit with your breath. Sit with your thoughts. This is definitely part of yoga. This is a part of the directions of what we call dhyana. So dhyana is how we get into meditative absorption. And anyway, so the origins of yoga, they say so this is just the word origin, yoga. So we're yoking to the universe. So how the heck do you yoke to the universe? Well, you eventually are going to need, at some point, as you yoke to the universe, to find out that you are not of your body. This is borrowed equipment it's a wonderful biomechanical suit that we are wearing. And it is essentially something that we look after as if it is ours and our own, as that's very important for our mission here, to be able to carry out various tasks. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to get very much done without this body here. So this is what we need. And when we came here in this body, it was operating on a different level, but we began having to adapt to the life on this planet, and we began eating the resources on this planet. We began consuming food. So it just has progressed to the point where we are killing things for food. And this tends to make our bodies more stiff. And it tends to make us take on board different vibrations that are not our own. So it's everything from the fear and the anxiety that the animal had on board when it passed away, and also the vibration of various other life forms that live on the meat of that animal, because on this planet we have parasites and fungus and bacteria and viruses. So when you take another body into yours, you have to be mindful that you are also taking on board these other vibrations as well from all these other entities that ride on that entity. That's just how it is. And you can use certain equipment and technology that can help you to defray the effects of eating other animals. But it is ultimately easier to go vegan, but it's not something I'm trying to tell you you need to do. So, and I'm not even saying I've been doing it. So, to each their own. Ahimsa is the first rule of yoga, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with not eating the meat, but it definitely does contribute to it on a large scale, because as long as we are purchasing animal husbandry products, we encourage the animal husbandry industry, which at this point has outpaced the natural habitats of this world. There are more animals that we are raising for food than there are wild animals now. Oops. So that's that. And one of the ways we can practice ahimsa or non-violence or non-harming is by using non-violent communication. Just as it was said in that Bible that people so very, very dearly like to quote, it is not that which not that which goes into your mouth which defiles a man, but that which comes out. So if you're being deliberately deceptive and manipulative and you're pretending to channel entities to give messages of truth so you can garner the attention of a bunch of very confused and concerned strangers, then that's probably not a very good thing to do, because it's only going to make you more confused and potentially also more unhealthy. So, because everything is connected, and so if you lie a lot, your cellular integrity is going to bear the brunt of all of that falsehood. The more honest you are, the more upright you are, the more direct you are, and the more fearless you are, and the more collected and centered you are, clearly the stronger you will be, the greater levels of integrity you will be in. If the words and your actions are all lining up with very deliberate and mindful kinds of actions, you're going to do better than if you're living in a state of lack and fear. Lack and fear are often a very important party to being dishonest, and also the competitive energy of living in the survival paradigm, where the survival paradigm is the lower spectrum of consciousness, and if you're down there in that lower spectrum of consciousness, you're going to be so competitive. You don't want other people to know a lot about what you're doing, what your plans are, how even the things that are alive to you, the things that make you happy. Or I learned this a very long time ago from when I was really young. Your favorites, things that are your favorites, you can be very easily manipulated by your favorites. And I always saw keeping favorites as a potential trap to be attached to these favorites, because it could always come around eventually to take you down to a certain degree. Picking favorites is very dangerous. Look what it does to us when we do this with each other. When we select somebody as an intimate partner, we are basically picking favorites. We are favoring that person, and we do it to such a degree that maybe we put our mouth on their genitals, or they put their mouth on our genitals. And that's just the way it is. Sorry, YouTube, it's truth. So and other things like this, all the emotional investments that we make in one another, and all of the expectations that we have of one another, those expectations are not even aligned with love. And so that's very problematic because we tend to only know conditional forms of love, which is actually acting affection to people out of desire. So the affection and the desire are actually not even party to true love at all. And this is why true love appears to be a myth, and love itself appears to be just this kind of malleable thing that will form itself around your wishes and your urges and your desires and your needs, because they're really just desire. You can call it a desire love, but the desire love is not true love. There's only one true love. You can't say a true desire love because we already understand it's a desire love. The truth is already everywhere. The truth is everything. So this is why when we are deliberately dishonest and we disenfranchise ourselves from reality, we end up only fairly confused, depressed, and anxious, lonely, things like this. So I said a lot here on that, and that also brings me to Satya, which is truthful, honest conduct. These are the civic duties of the yogi, which really should be of everybody, but we don't even share this in a yoga studio. So this is the problem with the yoga that we are being exposed to. And I'm one of the very few Western practitioners of yoga who actually choose to speak about this without being extremely popular. And this gives the technocracy an opportunity to to, what do you call it? Not black. To shadow ban me, blacklist me, you know? So it is what it is. And, Satya is very, very important. The truthfulness, it does also go into, so nonviolent communication, back into the first principle of ahimsa, the non-harm, they're both very much involved with each other. I feel like nonviolent communication is where non-harming and the truth intersect. They come together in this beautiful work that is not mat work, it's different work. It is us communicating our needs and our emotions, and also communicating to each other our offerings to be of service. So it's really important for us to be able to support one another in this world. Support is becoming a rare, much rarer all the time, ever so rare aspect in our world. Who is supporting us? Sometimes, if we're lucky, we have a supportive mother. But often, our mother's support is highly conditional, and it is based on what she desires of us. So this is where desire takes over love. And the third thing, so after we, in the Satya, the honest conduct, how important that is for us to access true and real love, for us to experience it at all, because otherwise it's just desire. Non-stealing is the next thing. So this can also be in stealing opportunities from oneself for growth. We steal opportunities, growth opportunities from ourselves all the time when we are dishonest. So that is one way of stealing from yourself. We also steal from ourselves opportunities to become stronger and more magnetic or electric, depending on your gender. And that is going to affect the way you attract people. So if we are stealing energy from others in order to feel more electric or magnetic, or to feel deliciously electromagnetic in ourselves, we need to practice non-stealing. We need to be giving to ourself as much as possible. And this is where self-love comes in, but you have to practice self-love with the intent to, you have to do it intentionally, so that the level of self-love that you practice and you bring yourself to brings you to a state of refinement where you're able to share your loving care with others. You've gotten so good at doing it for yourself, now you pay it forward. So you must practice self-love with the anticipation to gain the capacity to care for others and to be there for them, to be their support, and to be part of that circuit of care. Because we are all needing to be part of a circuit of care. And a lot of us are short-circuiting because we're not. We're in desperate need for care, and this threatens our livelihood. This threatens our state of safety. It threatens our ability to get food for ourselves, shelter, clothing, all of this. So we all need to feel supported so that we can support ourselves and others. It's all a big cycle. So not stealing can also be being not thirsty. And that brings us to the next practice, which is brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is called sexual continence, basically keeping your energy to yourself, really respecting that energy field that you have around you. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. I wish I could just pop this up on the screen right now. I guess I could with my laptop. Let's see here. I will find it. So, looking for a nice version of it. Oh, there's a website that's full of it. So, this is the toroidal field. This is the torus. So, you can see how this is how our aura is shaped. This is how the energy moves through the body. This is also how the apple is formed. That energy is clearly depicted in the growth of an apple. And let's see here. Yeah, this is a magnet with iron shavings. And I'm not sure what all these things are. This looks like it could be, I don't know what. There's a tree, but you get the idea. This is, I think, why it is said that we are created in God's image, because this is the universal form of the individual being, including the entire planet. Our planet also has this field. This is the electromagnetic field of the planet. So the heart is what is said to be the center of this, where it's all really radiating out from. There is an upward current that our voice, that our throat chakra is very much responsible for the Udayana Vayu. So Vayus are winds in the body. We have 5 directions that the energy is moving through our body, and the 5 directions are what create this amazing shape. So the 5 Vayus is a real thing. This is a real Vedic teaching. Ayurvedic, I guess you could say. It is life wisdom. Ayu means life, Veda means wisdom or knowledge. And so when we see how this goes, Veda is like knowledge, I don't know. So we have Vidya, which is more like wisdom, and Veda, which is more like knowledge, just to kind of bring it home there linguistically. Anyway, so this is why brahmacharya is important, because when we become intimate with people, we mix this field with others. And sometimes it creates sexual karmas. Well, we can say it always does, really. It just really like you have to be ready for the potential of some turbulence when that happens. It could disturb your peace quite a bit. It could make it difficult for you to come back to your delightful, delicious center. And hopefully you are familiar with it, because this is what yoga should be helping you to do, to become familiar with that delicious, beautiful, serene center of your being. So this toroidal field is, there's a lot going on with it. Oh, okay, it does show also, let's see, yeah. So there's more images. I just scrolled around. So there's our planet. So there's planet Earth there with the Taurus around it. There's also obviously a hurricane with the Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect is what causes hurricanes to form in this way. And so, yeah, we've got this amazing field going on. And this is something that was known when the system of yoga was being formed. The chakras are obviously lining up right along the middle point of the body here. So chakras are going from here to here. And it's said that the chakras go up even higher. You can build a ladder straight up with your energy by imagining these spaces and filling them with energy intentionally. Imagining these spheres, not spaces, but spheres of energy. And this is how we can really raise our power, raise our Shakti. This is what real power is about. The power that we have been taught for a long time relies upon owning, hoarding resources, stuff like that, and killing people. So this is the true power, though, and this is what we are. So I don't expect a Nobel Peace Prize for sharing this, because this stuff is all known. It's not like I'm sharing anything new. And it definitely isn't classified. So I don't really see what the problem is for me sharing it. So we want to clear the central channels in yoga. This is why all of these policies and procedures and observations, all these civic duties are in it as well. Because in order to address the blockages that occur along the way on these channels that are connecting all of our chakras, is through addressing that we have karmic knots in our body, and the karmic knots will be more easily released when we do the things that this yoga has brought to us, has actually showed us. And Brahmacharya, back to the Brahmacharya, so keeping your Shakti contained so that it may secure your higher power and goodness is what I wrote here. Getting the lust urges under control, keeping affairs in order is another cute way somebody else mentioned that Brahmacharya occurs. So, to each their own, right? And the next thing after Brahmacharya is non-clinging, being able to let go, non-coveting. So if you have a favorite person that doesn't want to be around you anymore for whatever reason, you have to be able to let them go. And as painful as that is, this is how love is, because you don't try to control somebody else's movement and their freedom. You don't try to stand over their sovereignty if you love them. You don't harm them. We already brought up the first part of yoga, ahimsa. So if you don't want to harm somebody, you don't want to restrain them and cause them pain and suffering, and they want to leave, you need to let them leave. So the parigraha I'm saying on this is non-clinging and also non-hoarding, non-possessiveness. It can include being possessive of your pride, excess pride especially, arrogance of knowledge, which can really bite you on the ass sometimes, because sometimes you think you know something and then it turns out you couldn't be more wrong, and then it's like, oh, maybe I should have only entertained that as a potential truth or hypothesized it until further information comes around to prove that it is not correct. So sometimes we think we know things when we really don't. I know it's happened to me. I know it's happened to a lot of other people. I talk to people. So yeah, and then, this is like, egoic clinging to information, which never really goes that well. It usually ends in embarrassment and awkwardness. So we have the egoic clinging to information for the sake of being right, to get a win. And, if that's all you're living for, then maybe you need to get another job or something. I don't know. It looks like it's Halloween. Happy Halloween. So, all right. So we have Svadhyaya. Oh wait, no, I thought I was finished. All right, I was finished. So that was a parigraha. So that was the first limb of yoga. Oh my God. It's like already almost an hour. It's 51 minutes in. But I did do asana before this. This is why yoga doesn't usually get shared in this way, just in an hour-long class, because it is a huge body of information and guidance and directives and, contemplation. There's a lot going on with it. So we have just gone over a parigraha, the non-clinging, non-hoarding. This has become a big problem for us. All of these things, when we do not follow these things, it results in relationship problems, sexual dysfunction, diseases, what's the other stuff? Yeah, relationship problems, difficulty staying in relationship, problems in society. Yeah, if I didn't say it already, mental, emotional illness. This is not to dictate to you, you better do this or else. But it is also at the same time to dictate to you, you better do this or else you're gonna get sick. You're going to get sick if you don't follow this stuff. And there's nothing else, there's no way around it. You can try to find the best drugs on earth to get you higher than the biggest giraffe that's ever lived, and get you higher than the, most gigantic dinosaur, megalodon, or whatever. No, that was a megalodon, that was a giant shark. But you know what I'm saying. So that's not gonna help. Getting high on drugs to achieve enlightenment is not going to give you enlightenment. You can't cheat the path. There's no way around the path. And this is why everybody likes to say, oh, everyone has their own path. And I guess when we're spewing that silly mind vomit everywhere that we've heard from someone else, and we're just like passing it forward like a parrot, we must have forgotten about the potential that reincarnation happens. It just kind of goes right out the window, because obviously yoga contains directions to control your karma, to actually be able to stop your karma, to have power over your karma, and also be healthy and be in integrity and be happy and have great sex and have a good relationship and be spiritually in a good place. All of this stuff is there. This is the path to liberation. It is why the Buddha was giving sermons. The Buddha was giving sermons because he thought it was important that he took yoga beyond just practicing quietly in the forest, and he brought it out to the people to give them a really substantial discussion that helps them to dig down to the root cause of their sufferings. And yoga does talk about sufferings. In the Sutras of Patanjali, we get into it. And it is probably, I would say, in the self and scriptural study, that is the fourth part of the next limb of yoga. So we just talked about Anga 1, limb 1. This is now Anga or limb 2. And so it is the directives of niyama, or the observations. Saucha, cleanliness of body, or you can also take it deeper. Cleanliness of mentality, cleanliness of character, cleanliness of conduct. Not being a filthy, dirty liar or cheater. Being careful about who you make close or regular contact with, even if psychic energy as a consideration. Who you associate with also goes into your hygiene, your spiritual hygiene, your saucha. Who you associate with is going to rub off on you, and eventually it will have an impact, once again, on that mental and emotional health, on your spirit, on your soul. It's going to have an impact on your soul, because your mind is one with your soul. So this is our process of uniting with the universe. We have to understand all of this stuff. We have to understand about the three forces of the universe, the which they say the trigun, the three forces, that is Shiva, that is the whole entire universe. So then, so Santosha, that is the next of the niyamas. Santosha means satisfaction. And when should you be satisfied? When should you find satisfaction? Always. Satisfaction is on all pleasure levels. You want to know, to choose to be in pleasure, to be in satisfaction. You can choose pleasure and satisfaction. You can choose happiness. This is how we attain santosha. Physical, so taking satisfaction in your current physical state, that's a different one also. You have to, so maybe you don't want to be satisfied in your physical state, but you do at the same time. It's kind of like a 50-50 split between being a little bit like, I really like what I've got for my body. I really appreciate it. I'm happy with it, but I can make it better. I'm happy that I have this body because I know that I can go to the gym with it and I can make gains with it. I can add flexibility to it if I do the asana practices. I can gain strength if I do arm balances with my asanas. I can breathe better if I give myself opportunity in the asana practice to make the breath practice, the breathing practice, or the breathing process difficult. So a lot of the asanas will make breath a little bit more challenging, and that is so we can work on governing ourselves even a little bit better, especially under pressure and stress. The better you can govern yourself under pressure and stress, the stronger you will become. So from there, our next thing we have is tapas, which is fiery determination to take actions to their completion, dedication and devotion, or their grit to get it done. Oh, I'm going to clean my house later. Oh, I still didn't do it and it's been a week. That is not tapas. That is the opposite of tapas. You want to get it done. You want to focus on it and just really hammer it out, So, yeah. Why is that there? I don't like it. Speaking of santosha, or not santosha, but tapas. So, tapas, that is the grit to get it done. So the next thing in yoga, yes, I'm still talking about yoga, and there's a lot to say about yoga, but it's just not a common knowledge. that, not a common knowledge thing. So the next thing is svadhyaya, which is self or scriptural study. It goes into psychoanalysis of one's self. So self-inquiry, and it's, we can really look at our attitudes. We can really look at the tone of voice we're using. We can really look at the habits that we are keeping. And this is part of that self-study. And scripture is anything that is actually true and real. So when there are sacred texts around us that we could study, we might as well inquire into them, check them out, and see what resonates. Sometimes nothing resonates. Sometimes a lot resonates. It really depends on where you're coming from or what you are looking for also when you read these scripts, as a lot of religious texts are allegorical. So that's also can be a little bit confusing. So a lot of people take these scriptural texts literally, and then they become zealous about it, and they fight each other, and they bully each other to believe things. Yoga will never tell you that you need to believe in anything, but it is also at the same time constructive and helpful that we believe in ourselves. But it's only a suggestion, right? It's not something that we bully others into. So you have to just find out for yourself through process of inquiry or of examination, through process of experimentation. See what it's like when you do your asana practice. See what it's like when you think good and supportive thoughts about yourself. You think loving, happy, friendly thoughts about yourself rather than fearful or condemning or angry thoughts. Oh, I got a knock on the door and I'm just going to go now. So thank you.